project manager who was baptized by fire. You need to listen to this. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals and companies to become successful project managers. I help professionals with training, with coaching, with consulting, helping them to organize their projects to better perform. But I also do the same for companies. Um, so if you're because in the end, if your goal is to develop your project management skills, my goal is to support you in this journey. Before I forget, this content here is part of the warm up of the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit it's a free event where I'm going to show you how to develop your project management skills, how to start to progress your project management skills there. And of course, all the warm up content I'm creating, I think this one is already episode number 10, is part of making sure that you're developing yourself and to make sure that you get a lot of background and we can start the project management summit with the right step there, with the right foot there. Again, it's a free event. If you are interested in that one, just click in the link here below this video or go to my bio and click the link in the bio there and subscribe for free. The topic that I want to talk about today, it popped up in a discussion with a company, I think earlier today. We were talking about, of course, about project management, challenges on project management, challenges in developing a team, developing skills, and so on. And someone mentioned to me something very nice, and of course, I'm using this for the title of the video. Saying, all our project managers here, they are baptized by fire. What does she mean by that, or what did she mean? She mean by that? Basically, that this company they have project managers, but how they learn project management is hands-on, meaning that they did not have any previous experience, any previous background, no project management training. But of course, this company they have projects, they need to execute them. Then so they appointed someone. Okay, I think this person here would be good to lead a project, and then you have a project manager with with maybe not all the skills in place to lead a project, not all the knowledge in place, all the important project management knowledge in place. But this person is appointed to lead a project, and of course, he or she gets asked to deliver and to perform. And of course, there's of course the pressure to perform, even though you don't have all the skills and all the knowledge that you need. And why I'm talking about this? Because very often this is maybe I don't have statistics on that, but very likely that's one of the most common way for all the project managers to start work. Meaning that they are hired or they are appointed to do something, or they get the first trial, and they do not have knowledge on how to start a project. And I can tell you, if you don't believe me, that's the case because a lot of people think that you need to have certifications, a lot of training, and so on. Well, that was also how I started my own career there. I was hired in 2009 to be a planner and controller engineer on big projects. I did, of course, I was hired. That was my first real job. Before that, I did internships while I was studying engineer, but I did not have any experience with project management or any previous experience with planning and controlling. I did not have any specific type of project management training, but I was hired for a task or I was hired for a goal, and of course the company expected me to perform. That happens quite often, and then that's of course that was one of the reasons because just after I was hired, I was kind of anxious, sometimes doubting if I would be able to perform. Trying to do my best, of course, to learn, but in the end, I was afraid that I was not able to do that. Mainly because the project I started on was a quite big project, I was planning controller for a project with a business case of about $50 million at the time, 10 construction sites, different cities, hundreds of equipments to buy, a lot of material to buy to be delivered on site to be able, because it was an EPC project, engineering, procurement, and construction, to be able to make sure that the company would be able to deliver this project. And this is quite common. And but there are some good points about that. Although you might say, oh, okay, that's not a good thing. The good thing of that gives opportunity. So if you want to work with project management, that's a good way to start. But also that also reflects the maturity of the companies. You can imagine if a company puts someone to perform a job and they do not, a lot of times the company, they do not know what's expected, what they can expect from a project manager. They do not know how a project manager should work. They just appoint someone, hey, you're a project manager, we need to deliver these, and you need to do this project. A lot of times that does not go well. I've seen companies appointing project managers, they lost a lot of money because the lack of skills of those project managers, the lack of knowledge, their lack of right procedures. With Without looking back, I'm not going to blame the project managers. Why? Because they were doing something else, and someone say, "Hey, from now on, you're a project manager. You need to deliver this project." Without procedures, support, key performance indicators, even the leadership of the company understanding how to run a project, then of course that this kind of thing does not end very well. But what is important, of course, if you're in a situation like that, first of all, you are not the only one. I've been there myself, and there's a lot of people around the world that it is in the same situation as you. So instead of overthinking or overstressing, what's important in a situation like that? That first of all, you don't try to reinvent the wheel. Why I always like to use this expression if you've never heard it before. What's reinventing the wheel? The wheel was invented thousands of years ago and it works. So instead of trying to put a square there and seeing how it works, or trying to put a triangle there or any other type of form, try the wheel. Say, okay, this wheel is working, let's try this. And then you can build on that one. That means that don't try to reinvent something that was already invented thousands of years ago. It's much easier to build on existing knowledge. And I'm telling by that because I talk with a lot of people, I talk with a lot of different companies, and very often I find people thinking that they are really trying to do something from scratch, which at some extent, I don't know if it's lack of knowledge or for some people I think it's a bit of arrogance there. Like you're putting a lot of effort, a lot of time to develop a knowledge that's already existing. That's called waste. And I'm not saying that you cannot build anything else. But instead of refiguring out how what are the fundamentals for project management, what are the key performance indicators that you should have, look around. It's much cheaper to build on existing knowledge than trying to learn everything by yourself. First of all, you don't have the time because the existing project management knowledge is developed based on millions of people working with project management every day and get together and trying to improve and creating knowledge, create a solid base. So we as a group, as an industry, or as a community, we can keep developing and we keep tackling different types of challenges. We keep adapting with different types of technology, different types of relationships and industries. So it's much easier to build on existing knowledge. So if you're in the situation that you are just you are appointed as a project manager, you don't have any experience or background, what you should do? Look for training, look for mentoring, for coaching, whatever the company that you're working on is required, can provide there. This is very important to facilitate your journey. it makes these make you will make your life a lot of easier. Let me give you an example. I had one of my mentees there. He was appointed. He was an engineer. He was appointed as a project lead to execute something. And the company, the maturity level of project management was very low, and he was trying to do something. And of course, he started to have trouble. That's how I entered the situation there, because they were looking for help to improve the situation because this was a critical project and so on. And I noticed that he was trying to reinvent how to manage a project. Not not reinvent is not the proper word, but the level of the project management knowledge maturity was very low because of course he did not have experience and also neither the company. So he tried to manage a project that was quite big in a very high level. So he ended up trying to manage, for example, some deliveries there. We are talking about hundreds of deliveries. He was trying to say, oh, but the delivery is going to be late. Which one? You have hundreds of them. You cannot say one will be the delivery is going to be late. You need to break down the problem. Always breaking down the problem because otherwise it's not manageable. And then, of course, during the discussion, I found out they did not have a clear scope, they did not have a clear work breakdown structure or anything else. So it was very simple for me to suggest some adjustments that could bring much better results for the project. Why? Because the knowledge was basically not there. What happens if a company, and I've seen companies trying to do that, is say, no, I'm not going to hire a trainee, I'm not going to hire a consultant, mentoring, or coach, or anything else. Well, they're going to learn the hard way. They are going to make all the mistakes in the hard way. What does it mean make those mistakes in the hard way? Projects are going to be delayed. Projects are not going to meet their budgets. A lot of expanding. They're not going to meet their margins. Profitability will go down. You are going to build a lot of frustration in the team. Teams who are going to be frustrated, and you are going to end up having a turnover of your team, which will make only the situation even worse. So it's very important if you are in the situation that you are like baptized by fire. That's okay. Under certain perspective, as I already mentioned, that's good because that gives you the opportunity to start with project management. Hopefully, you are looking for that. You want to work with project management. But the next step is don't lose yourself in trying to figuring out everything by yourself. It's cheaper and faster to learn from others. Why? Why do you want to reinvent a tool like a work breakdown structure? And by the way, not breakdown structure. That's something that very likely you start to figure out by yourself. But once you understand some things on how to use that and what's the value of having something a bit more mature, that will make your life easier. It's like it's like if your company is using Scrum and for some reason the people are there they're not training and using Scrum, then you're trying to have several product backlogs. Saying, this is product backlog for these, I'm going to put this product backlog just for technical debt and so on. You're going to screw up your prioritization, and you're going to screw up your view of the scope of the project. So instead of again trying to reinvent what's already there, it's much more important that you start to work the right things. Instead of using your effort to making all mistakes and trying to learn everything with your mistakes, because very often in a situation like that, you make a big mistake. Like in other company I've worked on, they had a very big automotive customer there, and they were trying to learn everything. They were losing a lot of money, and by a lot of money, I mean thousands of euros or maybe even millions of euros. So you can imagine if you're losing millions of dollars or euros, hire a consultant. Even though if you find a very high paid one, it's like, hopefully, unless you're going crazy in what you're doing there, you're not going to pay millions of dollars for a result. That's why it's important. It works exactly the same thing with project management offices, or nowadays we talk about VMO, value management offices. If you don't have any experience in something, find someone that understands. Find the different perspective. Also, not because only of experience, but the outside perspective there will help you to grow. Can you imagine if you say, I've seen some companies, people that they're working the same company for 30, 40 years. They do not have they have zero outside perspective, which is very good that they know everything about the company, but they have zero perspective on what's going on with the market. What are different tech tools? What are the different techniques? How different companies approach that? And if you hire someone externally, you also can gain perspective in different industries, different companies, different types of project, and that will help you. Then, with that knowledge, you are going to that will help you to build something interesting. That will help you to build something new, because then you already have a good foundation, and then you're creating something. It's like a building. Think about a building. If you don't have a good foundation, you're not going to be able to put new stores there. You're not going to be able to create several floors there if you don't have a nice foundation there. Why? Because at some point it will just collapse. It's the same thing with project management. You need to make sure that you create a good foundation so you can build on that. But if you don't have a good foundation, and you also sometimes you have people trying to reinvent what needs to be done there, it gets very costly, and very time consuming. So I get it, but being baptized by fire, it's good. You get opportunities, you get a hands-on experience, you feel the pain points, then you are going that will make you learn faster. Because if you're already in pain, when someone teach you how to avoid this pain, that goes much faster. Then you think, oh, I think that would be good, but you don't don't put yourself in a position that you get stuck inside of a company that does not know something, the company does not look outside, the company then does not want to invest in something, and then you get stuck in a situation that you just keep repeating the same things over and over and over again. Because usually those things in those types of companies, what you are repeating is not a nice process. It's not something that you are developing yourself, that you are learning, that it helps you to progress your career. Usually those types of things, they're just creating a lot of pain. And they're creating frustration with you, with your team members. They're not helping you to improve your leadership. They're not helping you to improve anything else. Be careful in those situations. Remember always that project management is about adding value. How you're going to be able to add value in different situations? You need to have a good view on how a project should work. You need to have an understanding about different possibilities of different frameworks you have. You need to have an idea about different tools that you might use. You need to have an idea that project management is not only knowing waterfall or agile or scrum or lean. Project management has a lot of leadership, teamwork, a lot of soft skills, if you prefer to call like that. But also there are also other harder skills. I remember that when I started in the beginning of my career, I when I was first responsible to manage a business case. Okay, I like numbers. I'm an engineer, but then we start to have discussions. Then the finance department start to ask me, "How is the accounts receivable for your project?" And I was like, "What the fuck is an account receivable? I'm invoicing. These are the events, the milestones I met. This is the invoicing plan that I have. I have no clue what you are looking for accounts receivable." And Honestly, it took me a while to understand what an accounts receivable really mean, what the report, because then I would receive a report from finance and I would look like, what the fuck is that? And of course, because I did not understand that, I did not even reply to it properly. So that was something that I had to learn in a hard way. Other stuff also I've learned was like how to use a MS project, how to improve myself with Excel, all those things that it, sometimes it could have been easier if the company invested a bit more on knowledge. And from myself, what really helped me to broaden my perspective was that at some point I decided to pursue a PMP, Project Management Professional certification. And what happened there? Then of course I need to study. I start to do a prep. Then I start to join like PMI conference, and that really opened my mind. Then I remember the first time I heard that about Agile and the Agile Manifest. I was like, wow, this is a completely new world because whatever the company was doing was very restricted, very restricted. Then I start to hear about Agile, about how prioritize portfolio for a company, about different ways to control costs, different key performance indicator, how other companies they were doing that. That opened my mind to a point that I could never come back to the same stage that I was. And then I say, there's a whole new world there that I can learn from finance that I already mentioned, but also from project management, understand agile, what's the value of agile, how I can bring that in practice, understanding how to develop myself to be a better leader, how to develop myself to better interact with my team. Because that, and of course, there's the knowledge, and in the end, I had to practice a lot of those things. I made a lot of mistakes to learn with them, but I see nowadays that the process could have been easier, and I could have developed much faster, of course, with the right support. If I would have at the time a good mentor, because I had some mentors there that they helped me in my journey for sure, but they helped me much more with the technical part of the knowledge. For example, we were executing engineering, procurement, and construction. What were the good things for the construction? What are the KPIs? How to control things, overviews, and so on. Technical knowledge on engineering, which I'm truly grateful for them. And of course, they helped me a lot. But this other perspective on how to broaden my project management knowledge, on how to develop myself as a leader, it could have helped me, and I probably would be in a much better position today, or in a different, not much better position is not the case. I would say because yeah, our life is our lives. We get where we get, right? Not complaining about the past, but looking back, every time you see things could have been maybe easier. It could have been less painful because I would get less stressed out with some topics. Everything happened there, of course, was part of my journey, and I'm grateful for all the experience that I have. But that's, of course, one of the reasons why I create the project management craft to try to make the journey easier for other people. I'm not saying that your journey will be painless or effortless because without effort, there's no growth. Without the effort of studying, attending trainings, putting things in practice, you're not going to find yourself growing. But at least painless might be also very difficult because you're always going to have some pain points, some types of things that you see in any type of organization. But it can go in a smoother way. It can go easier because when you, of course, having a mentor helps you have someone to help have someone to talk to, someone to guide you through the journey. Very important when you talk about finding a good mentor is making sure that you have someone that walked that journey that you want, or that went to the path that you want there. Why I'm saying that? Because nowadays we talk about internet, and I've seen uh, you can find a lot of weird stuff on the internet. You can find people trying to teach other people how to become millionaires. They are not millionaires themselves. You can I've seen people trying to teach how to be good, how to develop a project management career, and people with 1 or 2 years of experience. Nothing against that you have 1 or 2 years of experience, but it's 1 or 2 years. And you are going to tell you that you are going to help someone how to develop a career, how to find jobs, and how to manage several types of projects. And with 1 or 2 years, you're experimenting this yourself. Even though you can be very smart, and at some points, I consider myself at least a person with the average intelligence out there, and I think I can learn a reasonable piece there. Even though you think, oh, I can do it very good, very well, the world is very big. So being humble is also a very important part of this journey there. And if you have the right mentor, you develop yourself the right mindset, then you can put yourself in a very good path of developing that can go easier and faster and will help you hopefully to achieve your goals. But if you're just a project manager, you just want to get stuck it there, saying, and you end up as a project manager because you were just appointed because there was no one else that could do it. Use the experience that I'm sharing with you here to make your journey easier. Find a good training, find a good mentor, find how you can learn about different types of framework, how you can learn about different types of industry, how you can learn finance. Because those things they are going to make a difference in your career. They are going to make your journey again easier. And in the end, if the company that you are, the maturity of the company is also not growing, developing this knowledge and those skills will help you also to move for a possible next position. Which in the end, what you want, right? If you don't have space to develop where you are, at some point you need to follow your own path. That's the natural part of development. Don't get stuck in a company just because you have been there for a while. And I understand that sometimes you like the company gives you a lot of opportunities, but make sure that you're always thinking about yourself. Make sure that you look for your career to avoid that you are stuck in a company just because they did something good for you in the past, but they are not investing, they are not helping you to grow. So if you are not having the possibility to grow, make sure you create those possibilities for you. You own your own career. You own your own life. You should not let any company uh, own your career. You should not wait for any company to give you something. You work for things. You try to achieve things by yourself. You put the effort by yourself. You create your own opportunities with your work. And if in the end the company is not recognizing, there's a world of opportunities out there. We expect that we are going to see around 25 million of gap of project management professionals up to 2030. So there's plenty of opportunities out there. You just need to look for them. But of course, to make sure that you can look for them and get the best for those opportunities, you need to develop yourself. You need to make sure that you are ready also for those opportunities. And if you say that you have 5 years of experience with as a project manager in a company with very low maturity, of course you can learn a lot in those things. But if you do not complement also with training to see how you could potentially improve on that one, you are just doing 5 years and you are doing only 5 years without learning or without looking for improvement, then you are not really building up your experience. You are just repeating exactly the same thing. That's not experience, it's just repetition. So make sure that you put yourself in a good position in a learning path. Because again, it's not only repetition, but doing something, look what worked, what did not work, how you can improve it, and repeating it again, but already with a feedback loop on that one, because that's how you're going to progress into your career there. Again, don't forget this content is part here of the warm up of the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit is also an opportunity for you to keep developing yourself if you are the type of project manager that say I've been doing that for a couple of years but I don't have any formal training. With the content of Project Management Summit and also with all the warm up content, I'm trying to build as much skills on you, as much awareness on you to see what you need to develop and to keep growing, to keep working to your career. Don't forget that asking questions is very important part of the learning process there. So if you have questions, you can ask in the comments, you can ask in the Q&A box on my Instagram, you can send me a direct message, or you also can ask by email. But it's very important for your learning that you ask the questions there. Thank you, and I hope I'm going to see you soon. Bye.